Luckily, there was a Coast Guard C-130, a big four-engine cargo aircraft that was there, and had already spotted the raft, and were able to remain on top of them for about 2 to 3 hours. But the waves were about 50 to 70 feet high, and it really did look like something out of the perfect storm. If it wasn't for that C-130 crew, I didn't think we were going to be able to find them. But luckily, we do search and rescue, but I didn't have to do too much searching that day, and just got to do the rescue. Then there was only really one option we have, and that was to get the rescue swimmer in the water. So we put Drew Dazzo into those waves, and he swam over and pulled the first person out. He was actually a British.
Drew on. Let me get Drew on. Okay, Drew. He's just telling me 70-foot waves. I'm looking at the height of my house. Okay, and I'm thinking 70 feet. That's pretty high. How the H do you swim? What is swimming even what you do in this? I'm just trying to figure out how you get from the aircraft hovering above to a place where you don't drown, but you actually rescue.
Well, first of all, I was lowered out of the helicopter on a cable with a strap. We call it a harness, which goes around my back underneath my armpits, and I kind of dangle there as the flight mechanic, who is Petty Officer Scott Higgins, lowers me down as close as he could get me to the raft. And at that point, when I got close to the raft, at the highest point of the wave, which is the crest, I kind of just slid out of the strop and kind of fell probably about 10 feet into the water and swam over to the raft. Does
that mean you're out of the cable at that point? So you're no longer connected to the cable. You are now out of the cable, and you're swimming to this raft.
Yes, I'm free swimming over to the raft the best I can.
Oh, okay, keep going.
And like you asked, how do you swim in waves like that?
Exactly.
You give it all you got. I've been in the Coast Guard for about a little over 10 years now. I've been a rescue swimmer for more than 7, and this is the case you train your entire career for. This is the case that in your pool workouts you beat yourself up, you bring yourself to physical exhaustion, and you prepare yourself over the years for this. As far as swimming goes, that day I felt like I was in a wash machine on the agitate cycle, and I just kicked and kicked and kicked and didn't stop until I had all 3 of those gentlemen out of the raft and into the helicopter.
So now let me understand something, Nevada. So he's now gotten to the raft. So what's the next task? These guys aren't going to swim like you. So we know that swimming ain't an option for the 3 guys in a raft. So how do you then connect them? Because I'm thinking about the wind and the waves. So the helicopter can't be stable. The cable can't be stable. I mean, I'm getting seasick just imagining what goes on. So once you've connected with the guys on the raft, Drew, Nevada, what happens next?
Well, next, the flight mechanic is looking down. He's actually painting a picture. He's kind of like our radio announcer. He's painting a picture of what the survivor and the conditions and the rescue swimmer are doing, because the 2 pilots up in front, me and Aaron Nelson, are just trying to keep the helicopter stable, and we're calling out these big sets of 70-foot waves as they're approaching us. And it's like, here comes another set of 70-footers, and then the flight mechanic would say, okay, got it, and then he'd lower it back down, and he'd say, okay, Drew's at the raft, he's pulling a guy out, he's swimming over, and then he would start saying, forward and right 20, forward and right 30, and getting closer and closer, and he'd say, okay, he's almost got the strap, no, he missed it, okay, he's going to get it, and it's like listening to a really intense sporting event at the time. And then we pulled up the first rescue swimmer who had the broken ribs. We put him in, and it said, we're gonna. And by then the raft was about a quarter mile away, and Drew couldn't swim that way again. So we picked him up and put him back in the helicopter. And it's kind of like talking to a boxer after the first round, saying, "How's it going down there? Are you doing okay?" and stuff like that.
You were in the raft. You got the first guy out. Then you had to get back up in the helicopter to drop down again?
Yeah, Drew had to pick him up, and that's why people say, well, you saved 3 people from the raft, but I felt like we saved 6 people that day because we had to pick up the rescue swimmer 3 times, so we actually had to save him.
I don't think people understood that. I mean, I actually thought that he would just sort of be there and just keep shuttling people back up to the helicopter. Instead, he was like a yo-yo, down and up.
Yeah, the first...
And up. Drew, what kind of what do you look like? I'm trying to figure out what your muscles must be, because you didn't just have to fight that agitator in the washing machine once, you had to do it 3 times.
Yeah, I'm 5'10", probably about 180 pounds,
Oh my God.
35 years old, in the best condition of my life. And
Do you have children?
yes, I do. I have a daughter who is 13, and I have a 2-year-old son.
What does your 13-year-old think of her father?
Crazy because of the video that she's seen of the waves.
I think you're crazy too. I love you, but I think you're absolutely unbelievable. So, how long did it take you from the time you finally you were hovering over the raft to the time you actually got the last guy out of the raft up and safe? What was that time frame?
Yeah, we keep records of all that stuff. We were on scene for about 28 minutes, and during that time, the raft had moved 2 miles in those 70-foot seas.
Oh my God.
So it was really something. We couldn't believe it, all of us. I've been doing this since 1995. I'd never seen anything like this before. We were all just kind of awestruck at the time. But the helicopter came through for us. Drew was able to hang in there. The cable, didn't have too many problems until the very end. But there's just so many things that can go wrong, and luckily, everything worked really well.
Okay, Drew, let me I'm trying to envision something. So you pick up these guys. What does that mean to pick them up? Does that mean you strap them into the cable? Does that mean they have to swim with you? I'm trying to figure out how you get them from the raft to the cable. Since you had to swim one point to get to the raft, what kind of swimming is required to get them attached to the helicopter so that they can get swung up?
Well, when I first swam up upon the raft, your first question is, my first question was, how you guys doing today? You try to remain calm in a world of chaos, so it puts the survivors at ease, knowing that somebody's out here that's going to get me out. And then I asked, who's injured, and they all said that this pointed to the gentleman in the middle. He had broken ribs, so he was my first priority. So I pull him out of the raft backwards by the collar of his float jacket, and then I put him in a something we call a cross chest carry, and I kind of do like a buddy tow, and I got him on my hip, and I start swimming him to the area where the helicopter is going to lower down our rescue basket, which is our primary rescue device.
You are swimming with a guy who's like dead weight with broken ribs through 70-foot waves.
The best I could, yes.
Oh my God.
It felt like I was going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. It is unbelievable. And you ended up doing that 3 times.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that the first time we picked him up and put him in the helicopter and talked to him, like I said, it looked like the boxer and this coach. The last time we picked him up about 20 feet over the water and just kind of kept him about 60 feet below the helicopter and just gave him a free ride back to the raft to pick up the last person. So the last time we just kind of picked him up, and if you can imagine being over 70-foot seas, clearing him by about 20 feet, and then being just kind of slung underneath the helicopter about a quarter of a mile back to the raft for the third time, and then we plumped him back down on the water again.
Okay, so I'm one of the 3 people that you saved. Have they named their children, their grandchildren, everything they've ever adored? The first name Nevada, the second name Drew. I would forget it. You would be my guardian angel. I would embrace you as family members. Before I let you go, so tell me how these 3 men that were rescued. What do they say to you? What are their? Other than cry and kiss you, I just can't imagine. Oh, what a beautiful story, you guys. So I'm curious, how did they? What did they do? Just give me one example of a response that touched your heart.
I would say the recognition that we've received from all 3 of those gentlemen and their families is probably, that's just good enough for me.
Yeah, they've written us really nice letters. They've written letters to the command. They've written letters to the Queen of England, because one of them was from Great Britain, another one's from Canada, and the other one was a U.S. citizen. They've written letters to the consulates, the British consulates. They've written them to the Prime Minister of Canada. They bought us. We had a pizza party, and they fit the bill for that 2 nights ago.
Well, here's the deal, you guys. If you're ever up in New Hampshire, you find me, you call me, I make you dinner. So I can, and you know why? Because you're doing it for all of us. you're not just doing it for the three guys. The fact that you trained for this means that if anyone was ever in a situation like that, you don't ask their name, you don't ask what country they're, you just go and rescue. And I need to say thank you for that, because that's a remarkable thing. So from my family to your family, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And, you know, someday, Drew, I'm going to touch that body. I want to see what it is to have a guy who goes to 70-foot waves, and I'm going, I can't even imagine it. Anyway, Merry Christmas, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing an amazing story.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, before we go to a break real quick, boy, Bilbo, you must be real.
Outstanding.
That was pretty cool.